Healing the past. Just how do we start to go about that? Well, we're going to talk about that in the next few weeks. But for today, it's as simple as this. We must revisit the past. To heal the wounds that we received from our past, we've got to go back and acknowledge the wounds. Living an entire life with a Band-Aid on, which we do so easily, doesn't work. The wounds infect every part of us. The only way to live healthy in the present is to heal the wounds of the past. When I started my intense counseling a few years ago, the first thing my counselor did was give me a worksheet to fill out about my past, about my epic story. I took it home and took it very seriously. If I was to get to the bottom of my wounds, then I better know where they came from, right? I took the time one warm afternoon, sitting outside, and did my best to think of everything in my life that had affected me. From school teacher comments, to sibling interactions, to friendships, to boyfriends, and especially with my parents. I had the timeline, and that was really good for me because I could think of my life in chronological order, and that helped. Personally, because of my faith, and because I was so dedicated to make that be a part of my healing, before I started this process, I prayed that memories would come up for me and I would remember things maybe that I possibly hadn't thought about in a long time. Things that I had done, things that had been done to me. Particular stories of harm and significance. I thought of things that day as I sat there that had been buried alive for 50 years. And you've heard me say it before, what's buried alive never dies. That was me. I've included that timeline sheet for you today, like the one I filled out. It's titled Healing the Past. It's to help you sketch an autobiography, tell your story, connect the dots from your childhood to your adulthood. I've also included a great resource from Adam Young Counseling, where I've learned so much about healing. The document's called How to Write a Story, How to Write Your Story. It's a great resource to help you understand and work through the revisiting of your story. You're going to need some time. And remember what I said weeks ago when I told you that I went to a webinar with Adam Young? He said the number one reason people don't heal is their pace of life. You're going to have to invest in yourself and take time to do this very important life-giving work. I read the other day on an Instagram post, and I thought it was so powerful. None of us are getting out of this alive. So please stop treating yourself like an afterthought. This is your one life. Get after it. It takes time to get after it. Spend the time. For those of you who are struggling with not getting together with our Healthy Way community or not being a part of a group to help you lose weight, friends, this journey to heal your past has nothing to do with anyone else. This only has to do with you. And I have personally done so much work during this pandemic and this time of quarantine and being alone. There are so many offerings that are out there. But one thing I know for sure is they have been one-sided. If I don't do my homework, no one calls. If I miss a webinar or a Zoom appointment, the president of the company doesn't check in on me. It's been very interesting as these wonderful and creative programs are being offered. But on my side of the video, on my side of the camera, it's all up to me as to how I want to engage in that. You too, friends, you too. Because of the people that are helping me, I am another person that is offering really good things to help you heal. And I just want to encourage you, no matter where you're at in your journey, take these weeks to dig in and be reflective and take the time just for you. So back to your timeline. After I'd spent the time looking at those particular stories on my timeline, the plot twists, the day that a new door was opened and an old one was closed, because that's what happened during those stories, my counselor had me look at the next sheet. I've provided that one for you today too. Symptoms and sources of shame, fear, and control. Wow, was that brutal. I was to attach my stories, my timeline, to those columns. I understood that day for the very first time that almost all the experiences of my life, the plot twists, fell in the shame column. Never before had I ever attached myself to that word, to that column, shame. But sitting there going through my story, I couldn't deny it anymore. If we don't acknowledge it, we surely can't do anything about it, right? How many articles that I read about shame being the core, the source of most addictions, including insidious addiction to codependency. Wow. By the time I went back the following week with my epic life story written down, my counselor began to move through my story, one event at a time. And when I say one event at a time, we literally started from the beginning. And remember what I said about what happens to our brains when we're able to share our story, the circumstances, the facts that are the left brain, all while we're engaging and staying emotional to the story and sharing it with someone else, with the feelings on the right brain. Shalom. That was the journey I entered into, finding peace even in the hard. Shalom in the pain, balm for my wounds. So, we all want to know how to heal the past. Well, friends, first you must acknowledge it. You must take the time to revisit your epic story and engage your story. We'll talk in the next weeks to come about what to do once you have your story and you've recognized it and you've acknowledged it. But for now, I want to encourage you to extend grace to yourself. Remember the truth and take the time this week to begin the journey or continue the journey, as so many of you are doing, of healing the past. I look forward to more next week. Bye-bye.